Relationships, commitment. Give me neurosurgery. It's less complicated.
Did you choose me for the surgery because I slept with you?
Yes.
Aggressive? Okay. But if I were a guy, I'd just be ambitious, right?
No, screw you. I don't get picked for surgeries because I slept with my boss, and I didn't get into med school because I have a famous mother.
New drama, Grey's Anatomy, starts 10 p.m. 6th of April on 5.
It's nearly 8 o'clock. I'm Catherine Jones. A Latvian man has been given 3 life sentences for the murder of a teenager. Viktor Dembovskis raped and killed 17-year-old Jeshma Raitata as she walked home from school in West London last year. A report into the deaths of 4 soldiers at Deep Cut Army Barracks found none of them was bullied to death. But the review did find evidence of harassment and abuse and recommends there should be an independent ombudsman to deal with soldiers' complaints. Welsh singer Tom Jones is now a Sir. The 65-year-old picked up his knighthood at Buckingham Palace today for services to music. Tomorrow's weather now, cloudy and wet in Scotland, sunny spells elsewhere, but also some heavy showers, particularly in the southwest. A high of 11 Celsius, but quite windy everywhere. That's all for now. I'll be back in an hour. See you then.
You survive a plane crash. But how do you survive the Andes?
How long can people live like this?
We're on our own to save our lives, and we've got to eat.
You win.
It means we should eat the dead.
Alive, 9 o'clock tonight on 5.
And before that amazing film, a new series with the real-life survivors of that Andes plane crash looking back at their ordeal, and 4 celebrities who attempt to recreate that epic journey. This is 5, going back to the Andes.
"33 years ago, an amateur rugby team from Uruguay chartered a plane to fly them across the Andes for a tournament in Chile. The aircraft never arrived.
The plane tried to climb up and shaking and say, well, something strange is going on. And then I heard a bump and I said, this is the end.
The roof of the airplane just opened completely over me, like a tuna can, and then I was knocked out.
45 people were on board. 29 survived.
The only way to live it was to eat the dead bodies.
The first time is horrible, and then all your body is prepared to do it.
After 60 days trapped in the Andes and the death of 13 more of their compatriots, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa began an epic 10-day walk out of the mountains. It is one of the most extreme survival stories of modern times.
The most incredible thing about this story is it is true.
Since 1972, their trek to freedom has never been attempted again, until now.
Get me on a drip, take me to a hospital, I'm going to give up now.
Over 10 days, 4 celebrities will be exposed to the harsh realities of an Andean winter. They have never met before, but will be expected to work together as a team as they retrace exactly the same route taken by Parado and Canessa. For each of them, it will be a unique personal challenge.
Everybody's just hit a wall today. I mean, you can see it in the crew, you can see it in everybody. Everybody's just running on empty now.
Chef Jean-Christophe Novelli prides himself on his physical fitness, but he has never encountered terrain like this before.
Well, I'm 44, therefore I'm not trying to be Superman. I would have tried occasionally trying to be James Bond, but it's not going to work because I can't speak. No one understands me. Therefore, the challenge is basically having the chance to be in this wonderful part of the world. It's not to miss any single minute or any single pictures, and try to memorize that forever as long as I live.
The team will have to deal with the energy-sapping effects of high altitude and severe weather conditions. Temperatures during the day can soar dangerously high, but at night will plummet to 30 degrees below zero. Carol Kaplan is famous for dispensing health and fitness advice. The trek will test her to the limit.
My first response is, I'm absolutely not doing this because I'm going to be shown up. First thing that hit in was my ego, and I go, I don't have an ego. And I saw the ad, just thought, Jesus, that is incredible. I will never, ever forgive myself if I turn this down and I go, why didn't I do it?
A member of the royal family, Lord Freddie Windsor has had a privileged upbringing. For him, the trip has a particular resonance.
Obviously, the story is an inspiring and fascinating one that I first read when I was much younger, and I saw the film. So it's obviously the story itself had a massive hold on the public imagination, and I'm no exception.
To reflect the experience of the survivors, the team will be asked to eat raw meat. A special challenge for actor and prospective Tory MP Adam Rickett, who is a vegetarian.
When you see a story of such heroics that, these guys faced, and it wasn't heroic because they were mindlessly brave, it was heroic because they woke up every day being scared, and yet they were willing to face down those fears. And that's the true sign of somebody who's a hero. And to me, the attraction of this was not only to honour them, but also just to, in some way, see if I could find out if I had any of that inside me.
In order to make the expedition possible, a qualified mountain support team has been assembled. Their only contact with the outside world is by satellite phone. The team will be guided by John HAUF, a mountaineer with over 25 years of experience.
There are real dangers here, and they're going to have to pay attention to them. It's a place of extremes. We go through extreme cold, we go to extreme hot. There are avalanches, there are rock falls. They will have to maintain their hydration. If they get sunburned, or if they take their glasses off, they will go snowblind. So in that respect, there's nothing contrived about this. They're going to have to do it, and they're going to have to do it primarily on their own.
The Andes is the highest mountain range in the Western Hemisphere, and one of the most unforgiving. The celebrities will be kept separate from the support team at all times. After initial training in survival techniques from John HAUF, they will make their attempt to cover the survivors' route alone. No one knows what will happen over the next 10 days.
It's quite extraordinary. I would imagine that the only thing that is predictable here is the unpredictable.
We are here pretty deep in the heart of the range, and it's obviously a pretty wonderful, spectacular place. It is, however, not a place where human beings are necessarily meant to survive.
The Andes Mountains are one of the most beautiful places in the earth. They have been there for millions of years. They own the place, you don't belong there, and they don't want you there. At the end, the mountains always win.
They were a team and they survive as a team. We're not a team. We will become a team.
We were a team 10 years before the crash, and we were very good friends.
What we'll be doing in the next couple of days is doing some training for you all. During the training, you're going to be learning the skills necessary not only to survive, but also to succeed in the trek. Once that training period is over, we'll be taking them up and over the ridge and dropping them by themselves in the middle of the crash site. That's the middle of nowhere. The Uruguayan team was faced with a choice that was incredible, and all the stakes were against them. They had to either go the wrong direction towards Argentina or come all the way over this mountain pass, which I look at as a mountaineer as a challenge, and these 4 people are going to have to do it themselves.
On the helicopter ride up, it cracks home what it is that not only what have we got ourselves in for, but what they had to go through.
What we have up here is a large group of people on a significant undertaking. This route has never been done like this before. Once we start the expedition, many things could go wrong for us, and if something happens to us up here, even though we have brought along a doctor, we could be in a lot of trouble.
I should be sort of terrified about the mountain and the snow and all that sort of thing, and the trekking, but I think actually it's important to get a good night's rest and feel really good when you wake up. And I don't have much experience of sleeping in sleeping bags on sort of bumpy ground, so to be honest, at the moment it's the sleeping arrangements.
I have never heard of their names, I don't know them, and the whole thing about celebrity status doesn't make any difference to me. So in the next couple of days as we go through the training, I would like your assurance that you're going to be paying attention to what I want you to do, listening to what I have to say to you, and focusing on the skills. Safety is not only my responsibility, it is also your responsibility, each and every one of you.
It's like being on death row. You are condemned to die. There's no way out.
When you were in the plane, you were safe. But outside, you were very near to die. So, no one really want to go out. Nando, all the days want to go out.
Most of the time, I felt fear. From the outside, it looks like courage, you know, but it's fear. I think courage comes from fear. Fear is a very physical thing you feel in your stomach. It's fear 24 hours a day, non-stop.
We'll be going up on the slopes behind us and starting lessons. Remember, the conditions here can change very quickly.
You walk there for 5 meters or 10 meters, you get to your waist to the snow, you realize that that's not the way to go, and during the crash we saw a friend of us that he came running towards the plane and he was literally swallowed by the snow.
The weather is going to change, and it's going to change for the worse.
We crash at cruising speed and at cruising altitude. When there are options, there are options. When there are no options, there are no options.
I never thought this would be easy.
Churchill, I see I could get up to a 10% discount online then. Yes.
You just call out my name.
Wants to feel like a sausage in a sausage factory. And you certainly wouldn't want that when it comes to eye care. At Dolland & Aitchison, we prefer to take our time to find out what you really need and what you don't. And we promise to treat you like a person, not a sausage. DNA, we see eye care differently.
Women, don't expect any help on a Tuesday. Nuts about women, motors, sport, read Nuts. This week, free poster.
Take fresh, simple ingredients, add a Brawl Multi-Quick, and in seconds you're on your way to a quick and tasty dish. Brawl Multi-Quick brings out the chef in everyone.
If you want to charge premium prices, you need to offer something special. Like being in the right place at just the right time. IBM. Innovation for opportunities.
Right now, there's an exclusive HP laptop deal at Staples. Its huge spec makes it ideal for work or home. It has a 100GB hard drive, a 6-in-1 memory card reader, DVD writer, and a bright view widescreen display. Plus, it's powered by AMD Churion 64 mobile technology, with full wireless capability and AMD PowerNow technology for an enhanced battery life. And all for just $699. So get down to Staples right now for all your home and office needs.
Good job. Concentrate. Brad, tackle Jake. Yeah. One. I think I got it, man. One. I'm on the right, dude. You've got to be kidding.
Budweiser, official beer of the FIFA World Cup. You do the football, we'll do the beer.
So that's the offside rule. Who doesn't understand?
The toughest training of their lives starts here. 8 of them will drop out. 5 will crack under pressure. 3 will be asked to leave. New drama, Grey's Anatomy, starts 10 p.m, 6th of April on 5.
In the spring of 2005, 45 Chilean army conscripts died here in an appalling blizzard. Jean-Christophe Novelli, Carol Kaplan, Adam Rickett and Lord Freddie Windsor will face similarly harsh conditions. Their training from mountaineering expert John HAUF is vitally important if the team are to complete their trek safely. Base camp is set at 10,900 feet. Tomorrow the team will be taken by helicopter to the crash site, which lies at 13,200 feet on the Argentinian side of the border. From here the team will begin their trek up to the peak of the mountain and then their descent down the other side back into Chile. They will end up in the foothills where Parado and Canessa were eventually rescued, 28 miles from their starting point. By now, the team are beginning to get a measure of the survivors' achievement.
When you think Canessa and Parado, 33 years ago, were walking down from that part, down to that valley, the two of them freezing cold, I mean, just looking at the top of the mountains and hoping progressively it will be less and less snow. I mean, it's extraordinary.
Usually planes crashes, they crash when they land or they take off. We crash at cruising speed and at cruising altitude.
I thought, well, I'm going to see God now, and I'm going to die.
It stopped from 200 knots to 0 in 1 yard. And that's the one that killed the pilots, broke the seats, broke the legs inside.
This is not possible that crashing in the mountains, I'm alive. And I was trying to see if my legs were there and my arms were there and some part of my body missing. And only thing, I had this huge bump on my face, but I had made it.
To be honest, I'm knackered. I mean, at home, you know, I thought I was pretty fit. You know, I run like 10 miles a day, but I mean, that's just been an hour. The whole body is just completely dead. You can't get air in. It feels like you're being a cattle being left to slaughter. It's just every footstep you take, you just know it's just never ending. And it's just everything about it just hurts.
They thought that I was dead the first night. I mean, they shouldn't have taken care of me because I wasn't moving. I was completely covered with blood, so I was one of the casualties.
We heard screamings and shoutings and people dying. We didn't know where we were. Argentina and Chile, south, north. It was very, very, very hard the first night, really.
I think Coco Nikolic and Diego Storm, guys who died afterwards, were the first ones who started to take care of me.
More respect than ever for Roberto and Nando to do this after, you know, 72 days of starving to death.
What are the types of toilets called when there's just a...
Hole in the ground?
Hole in the ground? Well, hole in the ground.
It's hole in the ground.
That's basically what this is going to be, so...
After a 3-hour trek to higher ground, training begins.
And the idea is to have it long, but skinny. So that you can do this, you fill from the rear, and as you come forward, you cover it up a little bit.
I think Carol realizes that she has a physique which will not allow her to force her way through things. She's going to have to use her mind, and she did that today.
Up until sort of early 30s, I was a real darling with the press. You know, had lovely middle page spreads, and it was all very lovely and cheesy and nice and sweet, and did television and radio, etc., and had never been involved in politics. And overnight, the attitude changed towards me because of my involvement with a couple of my clients, which, you know, I'm not going to go into that.
You can sort of size it for how long we're going to be here.
Yeah.
Which is one night.
Correct.
So the first part of that wasn't so bad, until, of course, I made a bit of a mistake in choosing the wrong boyfriend. And that's when the papers really took off. At first, I was in such shock because I'd just had a miscarriage as well. and really didn't know how to deal with it at all.
It doesn't take that long. In the daytime, the snow is a little bit softer.
Yeah. I would go and get the papers. You see your name, and it's shocking. And I would shake.
Adam's strong, and he's very enthusiastic. He really likes being out here. It was easier for him to go in the front than it was for him to follow behind another person's pace.
And you put your toilet roll on the end there, just spin it around. Yeah. Good idea.
Jean-Christophe seems, I think he's just a little doubtful of the whole experience. He's very quiet. He seems to be thinking about things that are perhaps not specifically here, but elsewhere. I think he's going to need to tune in a little bit more in order to hear all the things that I have to say in order for them to do this trek. Freddie seems happy. He's out here, he's having a good time, it's a beautiful place. You know, he's a physically strong individual. He may also have to focus down a little bit onto the realities of things here. Yes, and you can grab those.
Ah,
nice drone to meet.
Yeah. And then you come up, and then what you do is you take the snow and you cover
Kick it over, yeah.
up, yes?
Yes. This was an easy thing for us today, an out and a back. When we get up into the place where the plane crashed, I think that the world is going to become crystal clear, and it's not going to involve anything else outside of what's here and now. So have you ever seen a throne like that?
For the team's first night at altitude, they split into two groups. Adam and Jean-Christophe share one tent, Freddie and Carol the other.
Bizarre day. Loved it. It's, that's Jean-Christophe's bed. That's where he won't be snoring, he tells me, but I believe that for about a millisecond. The floor, we have these mat things, which is supposed to keep out the cold, but kiss my I think it does. That's it. Hello! I'll
tell you something, my friend.
Go on.
I am absolutely freezing.
No, I know. Once the sun goes in, you sort of think, it's getting there, and then suddenly it just gets absolutely bloody freezing.
You have to excuse me because it's an arse getting out of these places. It's a bit of a struggle. There's no elegant way of doing this, I warn you. I'm going out first.
Hello.
Evening, Rickard.
So how was day one?
It was quite good. There's this one guy in our group who keeps holding us back. Sort of, sort of slightly weird guy from kind of.
Well, I've got to carry my oxygen tank. That's why. My oxygen tank. I'm like an oxygen tank and cigarette in one hand.
I'm beginning to cast ever more envious eyes at your cigarettes, I have to say.
Is it? Not being funny?
It's just something to take your mind off being hungry.
So yeah, that was day one. It was all funky, and we'll just see what happens tomorrow. But till then, fare thee well.
The second day of training, John HAUF needs to be satisfied that the group are ready to undertake the trek and can work together as a team. He will teach them how to dig a snow hole, a survival skill they may need in case of emergency.
Okay, here's the situation. The temperature is dropping 1 degree centigrade every 10 minutes. You all are getting colder and colder. If you're building a snow cave, it's because it's an emergency situation. So, one person grab a shovel, team up with another person. The two people outside the entrance are moving the snow away as it comes out. First person to disappear wins safety. All right, more snow, more snow. Doing great. Keep going, keep going.
What I learned is that on this crisis situation, sometimes the natural leaders are not appropriate for handling these circumstances. And then began to emerge what I think in the mountains was the greatest system, that is the leadership of ideas.
Remember how deep you were when you built the toilet? You'll need to go at least about chest high.
Nobody appointed, nobody has anything there. Who wanted to be the leader of a bunch of guys condemned to die on a glacier? Nobody.
This is about saving your lives. Just keep switching so you don't get too tired each person. Nice going.
We do kind of especially in this country, like to put people in boxes.
It's hard work, but the alternative is being out in the cold. Not to mention which this thing has to be big enough for 4 of you.
For me, the box was pretty boy, blonde bloke, oh, it will make him gay. You know, all you can do is just say, no, I'm not.
My excellent friend Jim Ferguson and I were saved once in southern Patagonia by just such a cave as this. It was the only time in my life where I really wondered whether I was going to get out of the situation or not. We dug a cave and we spent the next 4 nights in it. What I've done here is made a little bath. All yours, sir.
Do I have to take all my clothes off now? If there is interest in me, then it's because I'm a Windsor, and that's just, you know, something that you have to deal with. I'd never complain about it for a second. I'd like to make it very clear at this point that these are not my pants. I borrowed them from one of the charming crew members, as I'm out of clean pants, and they're too small. Jesus.
And I'll make it clear, you weren't the stinkiest, you were just the volunteer. How's that?
One of the newspapers ran a story about me taking drugs, which I had done at the time.
Bravo.
Glasses on, honey.
Get a cigarette while you're there.
How do you feel?
Oh, it's fine.
It's a bit of a shock because up until that point I hadn't really realised, you know, that there was any much public interest in me. But subsequently I've learned that is the case, and it sort of does change your perceptions of things a little bit. But you just have to carry on and learn from your mistakes.
Another critical element of this whole story is water, because they're up here, it's all snow, there's no open source of water. So what do they do to get water?
What happened when I actually end up in a position of losing everything? I was very fortunate to open a HAUF, and the HAUF become a Michelin star HAUF basically.
What I'm going to do now is just show you one technique for making water, and it's called a solar still.
It was extraordinary, and I just bought more essence. Then I opened a place in South Africa, then I opened a place in France, then I opened a place in Mayfair.
I'll just put this pad down, and all this is going to do is going to insulate it from the snow beneath, and it's going to just add a little bit more solar gain.
And basically, everything started going the other way. After nearly a year, I actually ended up to the last one, which was the first one, which I started, losing everything one by one. Therefore, basically, that's it. I was done.
I'll take our cup, stick it in the bottom, and I'm going to let that water go right into the cup.
When you fail in life, it's one thing, and I give it as an advice. You've got to admit it. If you don't admit it, if you hold it on you, you will never move on.
What do you all call it? I think you call it a lark, a bit of a lark. I think that's what it's been for them so far. They are willing to be directed by other people. They know they have the safety of a guide. They're not really thinking about the fact that their guide's not going to be with them, and they're going to be the ones making the decisions.
Well, we've had a honeymoon period, and I actually think it's been very nice kind of working into that. I think that even though sometimes it can be frustrating training and learning and listening and waiting, it's really important, because we're going to need every single thing that anybody has taught us over the next few days. And I think that, you know, ultimately, whatever fear, wish to give up, whatever goes on with any of us, I think what we're thinking of is the elation of having come through the other side and being able to talk about an experience that we couldn't possibly imagine or even try and articulate and guess for you right now.
Tomorrow morning, we're going to be taking the helicopters up and over into the Argentine side where the actual crash occurred. And then once we're done there, they're going to be on their own. They'll be climbing up and out of the basin and going up and over the same trail that Paralo and Canessa had to follow. There's going to be a lot of snow. There's been a lot of sun today, and that's an avalanche concern, one that I was watching today. We saw a rock fall come down during the middle of our igloo building. That's something else that they're going to have to be watching for. They've had some good training, but I think that it's going to be a challenge.
For realism's sake, it would be great if we could have gone up a little more ignorant. I mean, I'm sure my parents would say thank you for actually, you know, showing me how not to die.
To be able to march behind those steps of those people who did it to survive, and to be the only people who actually had the chance to experience that, I don't give a anything can happen, it will be fine actually.
What I don't think this group realizes is that we've had a beautiful sunny day today, but the weather reports coming in show that the weather is going to change, and it's going to change for the worse.
Thursday night?
Thursday night, I am covered.
The first Thursday night. Yeah.
This is I am covered in very rich vitamin E oil. If you're wondering why I look so bizarre.
To actually go to the crash site, that's going to be the most amazing thing. To go where they were and see, you know, the environment they were left in is going to be inspiring.
There's very, very strong winds where we are, and the last night was no exception. And tonight maybe the same. So if we're woken up in the middle of the night by winds, you'll be the first to know.
I would talk for longer, but I'm freezing already, and I want to get in my sleeping bag and go to sleep.
All of a sudden, we were at the mercy of nature. The wind went crazy.
The whole tent's about to blow away.
I was scared.
We could tell you it's all about craft, tradition, and heritage. But we know you'll only notice one thing: the taste. Magno's Irish Cider. Time dedicated to you.
The company that put the first tire on the moon, that made the first tire to go over 600 miles per hour, brings you its Run-On Flat tire, a tire a puncture can't stop. Run-On Flat from Goodyear, an innovation that's changing lives.
Hi, Enterprise. Our car's broken down. We need to hire a car.
When you call Enterprise,
We'll be as quick as we can.
we'll pick you up free.
This is great.
Then we'll drive you to our place and get you on your way. Unwrap the perfect rental package. Great cars, low rates, and we'll pick you up. Enterprise.
What's even better than 25% off all garden furniture at Homebase? An extra 10% off this Friday to Monday. Homebase. Make a house a home.
What happens if your latest product goes global in a single bound? What happens if our fitness plans are stronger than our retirement plans? What happens if tomorrow's cars need a whole new kind of insurance? What happens if your business model changes every 4 hours? At Zurich, we consider all sorts of possibilities. It's why for over 130 years, we've provided relevant, secure insurance solutions for a changing world. Zurich, because change happens.
Get a DVD of Claude Chabrol's masterpiece, Le Boucher, starring Stéphane Audran. Compulsive, atmospheric, mesmerizing, and free. Only with this Saturday's Independent.
Big small, when something small has the characteristics of something much bigger than itself, whether that be in size, quality, design, technology, performance, safety, or all of these. The all-new Yaris from Toyota. Big small. Put it in your dictionary.
I've done the math. I figure it'll take 2 minutes for each of us to get across the wire and over the wall. So, we've only got 18 minutes. We've got too many people. One of them has to go.
Prison Break, 10 o'clock Monday on 5.
Overnight, the weather has worsened considerably, and the team's visit to the crash site is under threat.
Atento, atento. Golf Romeo, helicóptero, me copia, cambio. Adelante, aquí helicóptero.
Sorry, the whole tent's about to blow away.
Indícame condiciones para aterrizar.
It's Thursday morning, dev trek, and as you probably hear, the weather report is completely wrong. So how do you feel about the fact that the wind and the weather has f***ed us completely?
That's very disappointing.
We were very afraid of the weather, you know, the blizzards, the white winds with snow, and the storms, and we knew we wouldn't survive a storm.
I would have liked to walk there if we have to.
Yeah. I can assure you that the snow winds and blizzards over there at that time of the year can be very, very bad.
No, too hard for landing here. It's too dangerous to approach on the helicopter.
It does suck completely.
The winds are pretty high as it is now. They've been getting stronger. They're deteriorating. You can see lenticulars forming on the tops of the peaks. I think that maybe what we'll do, since there's no way the helicopters are going to get us up there, we'll begin the trek from here. We'll go up to the high point. From the high point, we're only a couple of 100 meters from the actual crash site, and we'll begin the trek out from there.
I pray for the group not to have any storms.
As you all know, this is the morning that you begin your trek out of the mountains. I think this morning we had just a small taste of the sort of conditions that all of them must have experienced. I am going to go with you up to the high point, and at that stage, I will be saying, the way down the valley is clear. When you get back to here, you're having to find your own way down. You're going to be on your own. I'm also here this morning to give you the only food that you will have for the journey out.
I remember that there were some chocolate tablets, one bottle of wine, and I remember because that was the last thing I ate, there were chocolate-covered peanuts, you know?
We have maybe a small piece of chocolate and a small glass of wine per day, no?
And every day they're thinking, hey, you know, tomorrow we're going to be rescued. And tomorrow comes and, hey, tomorrow we're going to be rescued. And still no rescue.
10 years later than we crashed in the mountain, we hear in the radio that no one was looking for us.
It's like, you know, being in front of a firing squad and hearing the words prepare, aim, and you're blindfolded and you're just wait for the bullets to hit you in the chest.
Now they really are truly 100% on their own in every sense.
Then we realized that it was the only way to live, it was to eat the dead bodies. If we want to get it out.
There's a concomitant animal part of yourself that needs food and is asking you for food. And there's the repugnancy of having to eat dead people.
We know what's in this bag, and we know what it is meant to represent.
Liliana Metol, she was the aunt of my best friend. She was 34 years old. She had 4 children back at home. 2, 4, 5, and 9 years old. She said, I left them with a maid. I had to pick them up on Monday. I want to go back to my children. I'll eat anything that's eatable, the plane, the snow, the rocks, but I want to go back to my children. So that's a fact. All mothers would have done it for their children.
Well, what exactly is that meat? No, don't tell us. Don't tell us. Okay. We shouldn't know.
We needed a source of protein. The protein was there. And the protein was in the muscles of our friends. Someone said, well, they are not using their muscles anymore, and our muscles are getting weaker. We get from their muscles the energy we need.
You want to live, you're young, what do? When there are options, there are options. When there are no options, there are no options.
How long was it till they actually ate the flesh off the bodies? How many days?
I believe about 15 days
Right.
before they began that. That they would cut strips and lay it on the fuselage, and it would dry out on the fuselage.
At the beginning, you realize that the only way to survive, the only thing that you have is the body of your friends. But one thing is that realize that this is the only way, but very different is to do it.
What would you do? I know, I'll try to eat the pilot, but I'll get out of here and go and see my father. It's bluntly said like that.
The other thing for you is that is your one tent for the journey out. One tent for a couple of reasons. It'll be a little less weight for you. You're gonna be cold, you're gonna have to be watching that. 4 of you in one tent, may be crowded, but it will be warmer.
Can we pack that up now?
You may.
Let's put some ice on it, yeah?
The team's main source of nourishment during the trek will be raw meat. As unpalatable as it seems, the group will have to choose between eating it and going hungry.
Okay, if you've got that set, one of you will need to strap it onto a backpack or put it into a backpack. One of you will need to grab the tent or divide the tent up amongst the other folks in the group.
I'll take the tent.
We'll get our packs on, you get your poles. I will lead you up to the high point, but then you're on your own. The trek begins by yourselves. Adios.
The first thing I remember are faces looking at me, you know, eyes looking at me, some words. Nando, the plane crashed. Nando, are you okay? Can you see me? Hey, can you breathe? You know, those are slowly 5, 6, 10 hours of those words.
We look him, he was like a monster. His face was like this, all with scars in the face and blood.
Until suddenly you wake up, you know? And then you realize, Jesus, where am I? Then I asked, where is my mother? Where is my sister?
I put my foot in the chest of a woman, and I put my fingers here, and I saw that she was dead, was Parrado's mother.
And they told me bluntly, you know, your mother is dead, your sister is wounded, she's there. Because that was the language that you used on that situation.
And I said, Nando, your sister Susana is very bad injured. She needs you. So, in 1 second, he stopped, stand up, and move very difficult to the place that Susana was. And he take care of her for 3 or 4 days.
She couldn't speak, but I knew she was alive. I mean, she was breathing, she was warm. The only thing it was, she could speak with her eyes, you know?
And she died.
And then when she died, I said, okay, now it's my turn. I have to take care of myself. I won't cry. If I cry, I will lose salt with my tears, salt that I will need maybe to survive in this place. I won't lose energy, I will try not to lose my mind, I will fight to go back to my father.
And the name of his father was Seller. So we said to Nando that all the mountains, the name of the mountain was Cellar. And he said, I am going to climb Cellar.
I tell you something, I have no idea how they've done it. It's atrocious. I mean, I have to say I'm relatively fit, you know, and also the mind is probably even fitter. But I tell you something, man, it's hard. It's really hard. You know, the altitude is one thing, but walking in that snow, step after step, it's a nightmare. And you know what is the worst? It's only day one. Do you want to go?
No, go ahead. Thanks.
The thing is, we've got 3 hours to go. And you can see the sun is going down very quickly. And it's going to be really, really cold. Therefore, how the hell we're going to manage that?
I never thought this would be easy.
It's hard. It's really hard, but it's worth it. I mean, for us to be able to be so close to them and trying to, you know, to revive, to experience what happened. Constantly, I'm trying to think. They must have asked where to stop, how long to go, where did they sleep. You know, it's that wind. This is another thing. Constantly on your face.
Stay away from that edge. Come on over this way.
If I was you, I'll go another way. Huh?
Jean-Christophe, hang on. Jean-Christophe, hang on. We're just going to go off this way. I don't want folks going near the edge here. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to stand up. No. So
I'd like y'all to follow right in my tracks here. And the reason why is because of the slope. So just stay right in my tracks, okay? Okay. Thank you.
So far it's been, you know, relatively easy, and I felt like I've been able to stay the course and get over some barriers and stuff like that. And just today, you know, all I know is that if my head goes, just do it, do the best you can, then it's great. And if not, everything goes.
If the group is climbing and walking and getting tired, and even if some of the guys are vomiting because of the excess of, that's just the first step. Never stop, keep on going. And even when they think, I can't make it, that's the first step.
Nature, you cannot handle it. You can just negotiate with it and to shelter when, and not to take inappropriate risks, because they'll be sorry. I mean, it's unpredictable. You cannot handle it. But as far as they can, to experience as much as you want, because it's going to be a good testimony of how tough it was for us.
The limit is way beyond of what they think their body can cope with.
Unable to reach the crash site in Argentina by helicopter, the team have had to climb the mountain by foot on the Chilean side. It has proved much more difficult than expected. With night closing in, John instructs the team to set up an impromptu camp at 12,500 feet. He contacts the support team by satellite phone.
We're supposed to... But I do want to talk with you for just a second.
To me?
Yeah.
Or everyone?
No, just to you.
Oh. Tell me.
We just got a message from London, from your daughter, and she says that she sends her love.
Are you serious? Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Thank you. That's actually very nice. When was that?
Just now, they told me.
You serious?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for saying that. That actually cheered me up. Oh, thank you. Message from my daughter. Incredible. Shall I take over, Adam?
No, it's,
you must be exhausted, no?
No, I'm trying to get hot. It's so cold. Start building that into a wall, just pressing it. So.
Adam and Freddie are really feeling the cold, and I think, you know, they're both in their 20s and they really like to go for it. And John is always saying to them, look, you really need to go slow, because what will happen is you won't last.
The hardest part for me was the cold, because, I mean, it is so windy today. I mean, now it's dropped a bit, he says that and then picks up. When we were coming up here, you know, it was a blizzard in your face, it was painful, and, you know, every step of the way all I could think was, you know, here's us all wrapped up in nice warm clothes, and, you know, these guys had to do this after 62 days of starving to death, wearing corduroy trousers and, you know, rugby jerseys and things. So, I mean, I just have no idea how they did it. I really don't.
If they have an avalanche, they're not coming back.
I heard the terrible noise of kind of flash.
Here we have a beautiful mountain, and here we have a f***ing ugly one.
Simple pleasures in life are a gift. Visa. Love every day.
The Giant's Causeway, Ireland. A prehistoric volcanic landscape discovered by the MacDonald clan.